Dith Star, as they say in my part of the world, and welcome from me, Martin Smith, aka Cornish Grandad, to my YouTube channel. This is the first of an introductory series on how to use Blender. I trust you're well and interested in learning how to use this 3D package. I thought long and hard about the subject for an introductory course. I was looking for a concept where we could gradually build up our skills and yet produce something interesting as the final result. And I was inspired by this painting by Vanessa Bell entitled The Kitchen at Charleston, East Sussex. And I thought a still life could start in. Or perhaps we could look at Jean Chardin's snappily entitled Seville Orange, Silver Goblet, Lady Apples, Pear and Two Bottles. Here you've got some nice reflections coming off the silver goblet and refractions going through the wine bottles. I thought that was interesting. Or Jose Escofet's Bread, Cheese and Wine. You've got beautiful reflections off the bottle. Then you've got the contrast between the cheese, the reflections of the knife, the plate and the bread. Or the brightly coloured Raymond Campbell Still Life. You've got beautiful colours in the oranges. You've got blooms on the grapes, you've got dust on the wine bottles, and you've got reflections in the carafe, I guess. Or Paul Cézanne. Now, Paul Cézanne kind of specialised in producing still lifes with fruit on the table, normally with the soft folds of a cloth included. These are just two of his works. And they ended up with a final result that looks like this. On the final image, we've got brightly coloured fruit and a silver fruit bowl, soft folds of a tea towel. We've got various other items on the table to add a bit of clutter and texture. We've got a water jug. We've got wine bottle and wine glasses, give us reflections, and a roaring fire in the background. So, without more ado, what we're going to do now is we're going to create a kitchen table, create the four legs, and give them basic colours, and then save the file as our first step. Here we have a monkey face called Suzanne. It comes with Blender, but it's a good example of what we call a mesh. So last session we spent all our time in object mode. Here you can see object mode. If I switch that to edit mode, you can see that the actual solid monkey face is made up of a series of individual points called vertices joined together. I kind of think of this as like a fishing net with the vertices being knots joined together to make this shape. So each of these vertices, I've got one selected there, has a location in space on X, Y and Z coordinate. If I select something different, doesn't matter which one, see a different set of vertices there. Now those two vertices there and there joined together create an edge. There's one edge, there's another, there's a third and there's a fourth. Those edges together join together to make what we'd call a face. There's one face, there's another one, there's another one. And fundamentally, vertices, edges and faces are what make meshes and what make objects in 3D graphics packages. So I've been merrily clicking through these things. Let's see what we've done. Well, first of all, we're in edit mode. We started off in object mode. So that's the way of switching between one and the other. The alternative way, and I would recommend, this is one of the shortcuts you want to remember, is tab. And as you see, pressing tab, as you can see it in my screencast tools down the bottom, switch between one and the other. Okay, so in edit mode now. If I want to select the vertices, I want to click on that button there. The shortcut key for that is the number 1 on your number pad. If I want to select an edge, I click on that button there. The alternative is number 2. If I want to select a face, I click on that. There's the face is selected. The alternative, you might have guessed, is 3. So I can switch between the various modes by pressing 3, 2 or 1, and I can switch between edit mode and object mode by clicking tab. So that's the fundamentals of manipulating a object in Blender. So now we'll move on to creating our table. So let's create a brand new file. So we'll do File, New, General. Don't want to save that. Sure my screencast tools are on so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we always start off with a default cube. We don't want that, so we're going to click on that, right click and delete. And we're going to create a new object which is going to be our table. So add mesh. These are the various meshes we could add. We did that when we did the teddy bear, but we're going to add a plane. And as you can see in the box down here, this is a 2 meter square plane. It's a bit wide for our table, so we're going to make it a bit narrower. So if we click on this, the easiest way of making it narrow, so we set it to 2 meters by 1 meter, is to do S for size, X for x-axis, 0.5. So we now have a plane. Let's zoom in a bit with the scroll wheel. That's 1 meter by 2 meters. So let's go into edit mode, and we need to give this table a bit of thickness. So we need to be in face mode in order to make the face thicker. So we click up there. We can right click then and extrude face, and if we move our mouse up slightly, we can see that we give it some thickness. That'll probably be enough. It's a matter of judgment. Now what I want to do now is create the edge around the inside of this table that supports all the weight. So we could do right click and we could insert faces, and now if we move our mouse now, you can see you get this equidistant face from all of the edges. So that will probably do. So I click that and I'm going to do it again. So now I have, as you see, all these edges. So what I want to do is select these faces. So one click, shift, hold the next one, as you would in most packages. Shift to hold the next one. Shift to hold the next one. So I've got all those 4 edges, and now I can extrude these up. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to extrude faces and just bring it up to give me the edges of my table, which is about that. So you see we've now got a fundamentally simple table shape. Excellent. So I really probably want to rotate this around and have it the right way up in a minute, but let's create the table legs first. Now, fundamental thing is if I create the table legs now, they'll be instantly joined to this because they're in edit mode. It's probably easier to create them in object mode, and they'll be separate objects then. So table legs, roughly cube shape, so let's add a cube. Wow, that's big. I don't want it to be that big. I want the table legs to be about 70 centimeters high. So some people don't realize this, but you can just type 70 cms in there. Actually, that'd be the size you get, which is probably exactly what you want. Okay. Now these are this is far too chunky. I want them thinner legs than this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale them in the X and Y axis only. So if I do S and then do Shift Z, which basically means I don't want to scale it on the Z axis, just the X and Y. And then I can move my cursor in until I get the kind of table leg size I want. You see it's still 770 centimeters long, but it's a lot narrower now. Quite chunky legs. Let's grab that and move it up on the, doesn't matter, move it up. So it's roughly, you can see now, it's just eating into the table, top of the table. Okay. Now what I'd like to do is taper these legs. So the way to do this is I'm in object mode. I need to be in edit mode. I need to be in edge mode. So that's going to be the option there. And if I right click now, one of the options I have here is loop cut and slide. So if I click on that, it creates this little thing in the middle. I think that's fine, so I click that once, but I can drag it down because I want it to taper from about that high up. Okay, now if I grab this top face, so I need to be in face mode, so I'm going to select 3 for face mode, grab that. I can scale this on X and Y axis, so S for scale, Shift Z because I don't want to change my Z. I can move that in and let go, and now you can see I've got a tapered leg. Excellent. So I want to position this into this corner, and it's quite difficult to do if you've got an angle on it, so the best thing is to be able to look top down. Now if you've got a number keypad, you can press your number keypad to do this. I haven't on mine, so I use either the single quote button, which will bring up a pie menu, or the alternative one is the button just below this escape button. I'm not sure what you call that one, but it brings up the same menu. And with that menu on, I can either click T for top, or click that and I just get a top view. Actually, that is fine, top view. So I can, with this object selected, I want all of the objects. I need to be in object mode. Select that. I can grab it. I can move it on my x-axis, and I can move it so it just sits in there. Okay, and then I can, a bit more. I want to make it so it's slightly into this edge frame here. That was a bit too much, so move it back slightly. Whoops. Grab X, move it back slightly. There we go. And then I can do exactly the same on the Y-axis. Grab Y, slide it so it's just inside. Is that just inside, or just a little bit further? Perhaps a little bit further. There we go. So you can see now it just sits slightly in there. So I want to create 4 identical legs. The easiest way of doing that is with the object selected. You can duplicate object. So let's create another one. If I grab that and slide it just on the x-axis, I can position that so it's exactly where I want. And if I select this one and then shift and select this one, I can grab them both. I can now right click and I can duplicate object, which is there. I don't want to move them, so I'm going to press escape, but I'm going to grab it and slide them on, grab them I should say, and slide them on the y-axis. Okay, so now I've got a upside down table with 4 legs on it. But what I want to do is if I grab this leg, for example, don't do this, but if I grab this leg, whoops, it's going to move away from the table. If I grab the table, it's going to move away from the legs. I don't want to do either of those. So what I want to do is I want to parent each of these legs to this table, so I can move the table with one, but they are still separate objects. So if I click on one leg, shift and click on the next, so I've got the 2, right click, and I've got an option here that says parent to object. I can repeat that for the next one, so click on that, click on the table, right click, parent objects, and you can see I've got these dotted lines that tell me they're parented, and I can do exactly the same for the other legs. Now I'm going to rotate this table so it's the right way up. So, before I do that, so if I now grab this leg and move it, oh, it's still moving away. It's not what I wanted. But if I grab the table and move it, you see the legs are moving with it. So it's ideal what I wanted. So now what I want to do is rotate this table the right way around. So the easiest way is just I'll flip it on the y-axis. So R for rotate, Y, 180, table the right way up. Now I want to place this table on a floor, so I'm going to create a new plane, add mesh plane, far too small. Let's make it 5 meters big. Quite a nice size wall, size of room I should say. And now I can grab my table and move it up. Grab, Z, slide it up until it just sits on the floor. There we go. So now we have a table sat on the floor. And let's start giving things some colours. So I've got this object selected here. Down here I have this thing which I always think looks like a C and D symbol, but there we go. Create a new colour. This won't be the final colour, it's just a starting colour. Select a reddy browny colour, make it a bit darker because it's going to be mahogany. Okay, and we'll give it a name so we don't get confused. We'll call it tabletop. Of course, you call it anything you like. We can do the same for one of these legs. We'll create a new one. We'll give it a colour, a browny colour. I want to make this one a bit lighter because it's going to be oak. And we're going to call this table leg. And then I can select another one. I could create a new one, but if I click on this symbol, there's my table leg. I select a new one, table leg, and this one, table leg. But we're not seeing anything. Remember, we're not seeing anything because of the mode we're in. Remember, we're in solid mode. If we click on to shading mode, you can see I've got a dark top and slightly pale legs. And while we're at it, let's create this floor and give it a reddy colour. Pink for my liking. There we go. That's going to be a tile floor eventually. Cool. So let's call this floor. Now these won't be the final colours, but they are the ones we're going to use to start with. So we have successfully created a table and floor. So let's save our object. File, save as. Now you can save it wherever you like. I'm going to save mine to my desktop to start with, and I'm going to call it kitchen. Okay, so that's a good starting point. If you wish to watch the next section, you can see the card at the top, and we will be creating some chairs to go around our table. Hope you've enjoyed and learned something from this tutorial so far and would like to look at the next ones in the series. And if you have, then please support this channel by clicking like. If you want to see other material on this channel and help support the growth of this channel, then I would appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button. Keep in touch, and I hope to see you soon.